Guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is a very special one. We're going to rank all our Gourmande Girls palette. Now, Gourmande Girls has a lot of palettes in their line and they are like considerably a new indie brand, I would say. Like they've not been in the industry for like ages. 2-3 years? I think so, but I have a lot of palettes from them. Precisely, I have 10 palettes from them, so I thought it calls for a ranking. So we're gonna rank all our Gourmande Girls palette in this video. So if you're ready, let's begin. Let me tell you, disclaimer, I had a few more Gourmande Girls palette, which I did give it out to my sister, to my friends. So these 10 are like the palettes that I absolutely love. I'm not ready to get rid of them at this moment, but I still like a few more than the others. So let's begin. On the 10th place, we have Gourmande Girls and Doodles by the Bunny's C'est l'Amour palette. Now this I feel like was the first palette, either they collaborated together or Doodles by the Bunny just did the palette art cover, and that's how their love for this kind of design came into play. This palette is basically like a pink and a red color story with a pop of neutrals. Now again, nothing wrong with this color story or the quality, but talking about this color story, I know when I'm diving into this palette, I'm either getting like a pinky red color story or I'm getting like a neutral color story. And if I'm going for like a neutral color story, this is not the first palette that pops in my mind. And I do not wear a lot of pinks and reds on my eyes when I'm wearing this. I know, wait. But this palette, it performs nice, but Gourmande Girls quality has definitely amped up 10 times more after this palette was launched. So that is why I'm putting this in the 10th position. On the 9th position, we have an all shimmer palette from Gourmande Girls, and that is the Radioactive palette. Now, this is the first all shimmer palette that I received from the brand, and most of them have been sent to me in PR. I am an affiliate with Gourmande Girls, and my code is Smithy Sony to save you 10% off. So if you want to buy anything from this line, I'll definitely suggest a few for you guys. But this is again a beautiful color story, predominantly a blue, purple, pink color story going on here. But when I am purchasing an all shimmer palette, I definitely want more variety. This definitely has the quality, but I feel like when I see the color combination, I feel like I definitely can have like more variety in an all shimmer palette rather than this. That's the only reason why I'm putting this in number 9. But otherwise, the quality is A++, and that is why this is in my collection. On number 8, we have a predominantly matte heavy palette, and this came out last year, and this is the Secret Grove palette. I love the quality of the mattes that were chosen, but again, I'm not a big green person, and these murky greens pretty much show up very similar on my skin tone. And we have like pinks, we have reds, peaches, yellows, and we only have 2 shimmers. I love my shimmers. I hardly do an all matte eye look on me. So for that reason, I cannot rank this any higher than that. But if you love this color story, you're absolutely gonna love it. Again, when I'm not a green person, this absolutely goes out of question. To me, I might combine it with other shades, but again, this is not my preference of eyeshadows when I apply it on me. That is why it's ranking on number 8. But again, the quality is absolutely beautiful. I love Gourmande Girls quality. It's not a surprise at all. Let's move on. On number 7, we have another all shimmer palette. But I like this all shimmer palette than the Radioactive palette just because of the variety. Now, I'm talking about the Ethereal palette. I felt like this was a genius move from the brand. It was smaller in size, and the color combination that were chosen were beautiful. If you want one shimmer palette which is full of duochromes, this palette I would still suggest because this is beautiful. I really hope that they still make this because this is beautiful. I've used it a ton. And I love this palette very, very much. After this point, I feel like all the palettes are just stunning. It's just the preference of the color shade and the selection that I put on my eyes. That's how I'm ranking this. On number 6, we have Gourmande Girls Warriors Wear Pink palette. Now, this is a very, very special palette. This was in collaboration by Syria Soto, and she fights breast cancer. and I love the theming behind it. I love the story of like supporting friends behind it. I love the pinks, the tones of pinks, the neutrals that were chosen in it. I love, absolutely love purples. So pinks and purples together totally do make this. Again, this is matte heavy than the shimmers, but the shimmers that were chosen, we have 4 shimmers here that were all like very shifty, shiny, dimensional, and I love the addition of the black to darken out or deepen out any eye look, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I often wear like these column on my eyes to office. I love this shade Fighter. It's so beautiful. This familiar shade is absolutely gorgeous. This cielo shade, it appears like a punchy blue, but on the eyes it's like a very seafoamy green blue silvery shade. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. This is like a transforming shade to like a pink or a blue kind of shifting shade. Love, love, love this palette. So definitely had to place this in number 6th position. From now onwards, it's their, you know, the 14 pan eyeshadow palette style that they do. So from now onwards, consider any palette on number 1 position. It's just the matter of the color story, okay? On number 5, we have the Silent Night palette. I just love this form of packaging from Gourmande Girls. I feel like from the time they did this kind of packaging and style, they revamped their formula of the shimmers and their mattes, and they just killed it. They knocked it down the ballpark. If you are in love with neutral tones with pops of yellows and blues, this is gonna be stunning, absolutely stunning. I do not have any complaint. Actually, I do. Why I place this on number 5 is just because I feel like these two blues are very close to each other on my eyes. I feel like the browns that were chosen were also very close to each other. The blue shimmers that were chosen, I feel like there are repetitive tones in this palette. Are they exactly similar? No. There are like difference within each shade, but it's not different enough for me to create variety of looks with this one palette. But again, I love the quality. I love this shimmer shade so very much. My favorite thing to do is pop one of the brown shades on my crease, deepen it out with one of the blues in the outer corners, and place this right on the center of the eye. It looks killer. I love this palette very, very much. On number 4, we have the Haunted palette, which was the spooky palette of last year. I love the tones of mattes that were in this palette. I absolutely love the tones of the mattes. Shimmers not so much, just because again I'm not a big yellow and a green person, so I feel like these two are repetitive for me on my skin tone. I also feel like these two greens look very similar in the pan, but this is definitely much more deeper. I hardly wear this kind of a shimmer on my eyes, but rest everything is just beautiful. I love this shimmer so very much, and this purple shimmer is stunning, and even this like pinky blue shimmer, it's beautiful. But the portion of the palette that I absolutely love is this portion. These mattes are so unique, so beautiful, so deep and grungy on the eyes. This is just beautiful because of that. Like, I love this palette because of that tones. I often reach out for those mattes. Even if I'm playing with some other shades, I really love this palette. I feel like this, if you love the color story of this palette, you will not be disappointed one bit. On number 3, we have the original Doodles by the Bunny collaboration with Gourmande Girls, and this is the original Spooked palette. I freaking love this palette. I love the variety that you can create with this palette. I feel it's colorful, it's bright, it's grungy, it's muted, it is punchy, it is just so stunning. I think I have a dip in this shade. I also love this shade so very much. The multichromes that were chosen in this palette was beautiful and stunning. This vibrant pink that you see is like a pink to an orange shifting shade. These are all like very duochrome shades. I love it. I absolutely love it, and I love that their price point is in their 50s. At this era of time, I feel like 50s is considerably okay as compared to 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s that we have. This palette totally worth the money, and with the addition of like the coupon code, you'll definitely get like a steal with this quality of eyeshadow. So I highly recommend Spooked palette. On number 2, we have Nightshade palette. You know how much I love my purples, and this by far was like my number 1 palette from the brand for such a long time, and for a reason. I love purples, and this is a predominantly a purple palette with pops of yellows and green. They love their yellows and greens, but I love my purples too. I hardly wear those greens on me. I love this yellow, but this also yellow is like a very pop in the inner corner or the lower lash line shade for me. But the tones of purples that were chosen in this palette was absolutely stunning. Stunning. I love the addition of the black in the palette. I love that they have a lighter tone in the palette so that I can mix and match and create my own tone. I really love this palette. I would highly recommend, if you are a purple lover, I feel like you'll not go wrong with Nightshade palette. I absolutely love it. So that's why I'm ranking this on number 2. On number 1, I want a drum roll right now. On number 1, we have the palette collaboration by Steph's Beauty Stash, and this is the Nueva Vida palette. I really love this palette. When I initially got this palette, I really felt like this is so colorful for me. If you've not seen this palette, I highly doubt. I felt like this is very punchy, very neon for me. But I have a video up on my channel using this palette and creating 3 looks using this palette. I actually have this palette on my eyes right now. I have predominantly that neon orange and that purple on the inner and the outer corners. I topped it out with the shade Blessed on my inner corners. I have Vacay All Day, Blessed, and New Life on my lid. And I have this shade Keep Moving on my lower lash line along with this purple shade. And I love this palette. I also have this shade on my outer corners. I love this palette so very much. If you combine the shades in such a way, it can totally be wearable too. With like, it'll be colorful but wearable at the same time. You can definitely make it wearable. I don't want you to steer away just because of the punchiness of this palette, because yes, it can be punchy. If you pair this up with like a white base, it can be vibrant the way you see in the palette. But if you pair it on your like eye primer, you can make some easy looks with this palette, and I love that aspect about it. Like, pop one matte on the entire eyelid and tap one shimmer on top of it, and that is an eye look. And for deepening out, you have some beautiful deeper tones here which can deepen out any eye look, and I love it. Absolutely love it. I cannot wait to see what they have coming in the future for us. But this I'm gonna rank on number 1 for a reason, and I absolutely love it. And that was my ranking for all my Gourmande Girls palette. If you did like this video, you know what to do. Do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. You guys have to let me know, out of these palettes, which is your number 1 palette from Gourmande Girls, if you have tried Gourmande Girls or not. And if you have not, what are you waiting for? They're like really good. But until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.